Okay, hi everyone, welcome back, and in this video we are going to check out GALA's price chart. And in the previous update, if you remember, we explained why right around these areas are beautiful buying opportunity in GALA, because the idea is either the final low in GALA is already in right in here, or maybe we're gonna have another move down. I would say probably another small one, and then that will be it, our final low, and we are going to have a very strong bounce back. Why is it that I believe we're going to have a very strong bounce? Because when you go on daily time frame, okay, as you can see, from my point of view at least, this is a beautiful Wyckoff accumulation pattern. This is our first test. This is our second test, and right in here, before taking the lowest low about 1.25 cents, I was calling for another move down in GALA, and I said the moment that we take the lowest low, we're not really going to have any unfinished business. And if I just hide everything, there we go. As you can see, we definitely in the recent drop took all the lows. So because this is a Wyckoff accumulation pattern, after it's over, we can expect a relatively strong move on the upside. And again, let's not call right now for any sort of altcoin season. Let's be reasonable in the short to mid-term, meaning for the next couple of months. Even if you want to be a bit pessimistic, you can actually make a very much valid argument for GALA going up and reaching to about these areas between, let's say, 7 to about 10 cents. And in that case, well, okay, you're going to have at least a risk to reward ratio of about 1 to 7. I don't know about you guys. For me, this is insanely good. So overall, I am 1000% bullish in GALA. And do not get me wrong, I believe in these areas there we are having beautiful buying opportunities. Having said that, in the short term, the story can be a bit different. You see, in today's update, I want to check out two different possibilities. One scenario suggests overall in this move, starting from this point about 1.15 cents, we are having a correction structure on the upside, and here is how I can justify it. If you want to argue, we're going to have our final low around here. Let's say this is like a very important support. Then, okay, off of the lowest low, you need to be able to find a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave impulsive structure on the upside. This specific example is a normal 5 wave. Rules for it are we should not have overlapping of the waves between wave 2 and 4, and in any kind of 5 wave, wave 3 right in here should not be the smallest wave. This is a big no-no in Elliott waves. Now, sometimes between our wave 2 and 4, we are having overlapping of the waves, and that could still be a bullish structure, either in form of an expanding leading diagonal, or maybe in form of a wedge, which is the topic of today's update. You see, in a wedge, we're going to have our initial move up into wave 1, and this has to be the biggest wave in this structure. Correction for wave 2, another move up into wave 3. It must be a smaller than wave 1. Correction for 4, it has to be a smaller than wave 2. And like we said it earlier, we must have in here, again, we must have overlapping of the waves between our corrective movements. And this is our final move up into our wave 5. Now, for the sub waves, you probably know what I'm about to say if you are a regular viewer of the main channel. 5 wave up into wave 1, 3, and 5. Let's actually change the color so you can see the structures a bit better. Excuse me, there we go. This is another 5 wave into our wave 3 and our final 5 wave here into 5. And for wave 2 and 4, we can consider many different possibilities. But if you want to go 100% according to the rules, you have to be able to identify only and only ABCs into our wave 2 and 4. For me, as long as we are having other structures and all the rules are applying to this thing being a wedge, okay, I can consider maybe some WXYs. But again, if you want to go 100% according to the rules, you are only allowed to have ABCs for your wave 2 and 4. Now let's check out some waves. So you see, the bullish scenario suggests maybe we're gonna have, starting from this point right in here, an impulse up into a wave 1, correction for wave 2, another 5 up into wave 3, correction for 4. As you can see, we are definitely having overlapping of the waves in this area, and this can be another move on the upside into wave 5 in form of a wedge. Now, if we are bullish on a higher degree, this is actually a wave 1, correction for wave 2, And then at the moment, we can consider the possibility of having, I would say, a relatively strong move on the upside into wave 3 and 4 and 5. And I would like to say, if this is happening, the bare minimum target for this move can be reaching to somewhere around the previous area of supply, right in here between, let's say, 1.9 to about 2.1 cents. So if we are bullish in GALA and the final low is already in, you need to see something like this happening, a continuation of this move up, but then a corrective movement, and followed by that another move on the upside, and then, okay, fair enough, we can have a relatively deeper pullback. On the other hand, what if we are actually bearish? You see, my problem with this structure on the upside in GALA comes down overall to this initial bounce starting from here about 1.1 cents. Why is that? Because sure, I can find an impulse in here, but I cannot really help but think maybe this is just a simple three-wave movement in form of an A, B, C zigzag, which kind of got confirmed when in this move down we took the low of our B leg. That's why I am open to the possibility of having overall in this move a correction structure and then another move on the downside. And do not get me wrong, this is not a bearish signal in GALA, okay? Please understand this. Any kind of move down in GALA from my point of view is going to be a beautiful mid to long term buying opportunity because the risk reward ratios in here are insanely good. And if you believe that we're gonna have in the cycle overall an alt season, I think we can all safely assume that GALA is going to participate in that altcoin season, and well, the targets at that point are going to be insanely high. So let's have a quick conclusion and wrap up today's update. Overall, in GALA, I am absolutely bullish and I believe these areas are buying opportunities. Having said that, in the short term, we need to be just open to the possibility of having another move down. And by the way, if you see something like this happening in GALA, and in this move specifically, we take this low about, let's say, 1.3 cents. At that point, you can actually consider the bearish scenario with a bit more confidence. On the other hand, if we see a continuation of this move and then some sort of a slow and choppy move down, a corrective movement, and then another move on the upside, okay, at that point, you are going to see me changing my tone a bit on GALA. Now, right in here, can we say at that point it's going to be a buy opportunity? Absolutely not. Question: what happens after an impulsive structure up, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? You know the deal. If you are a regular viewer, we're gonna have a relatively deep pullback, something like this. Excuse me, what just happened? My mouse is a bit glitchy. Something like this. And assuming that we identify the right structures in here, okay, then in this area, I can tell you we are having a great long opportunity. So for now, it's just a bit of a waiting game. If you are a trader and you are looking at this chart from a trader point of view, if you are an investor and you do not care about what is happening in the short term, this is a buy all day, every day. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in GALA's price chart. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.